Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. 6th Canto, Chapter 3, verse number 4. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Yamaduta Uchu.
Yamaduta Uchu.
Kati Santi Hashaskaro.
Shaskaro.
Kati Santi Hashaskaro.
Kati Santi Shaskaro.
Jiva Lokasya Vai Prabhu.
Jiva Lokeshwai Prabhu.
Jai Vidyam Kurvata Karma.
Jai Vidam Kurvata Karma.
Phala Vyakti Hetava.
Phala Vyakti Hetava.
Yamaduta Uchu.
Yamaduta Uchu.
Kati Santi Hashaskaro.
Kati Santi Shaskaro.
Jiva Lokasya Vai Prabhu.
Jiva Lokeshwai Prabhu.
Jai Vidyam Kurvata Karma.
Jai Vidam Kurvata Karma.
Kalabi Vyakti Hetava.
Phala Vyakti Hetava.
Gentlemen.
Problem is we don't have it written today,
Oh,
so
that's what, alright. Sorry. So we can just...
we'll have that tomorrow.
word
That's
for
the
word.
standard.
Yamaduta Uchu.
Yamaduta Uchu.
The other carriers
The order carriers
of Yamaraj said.
of Yamaraj said.
Kati.
Kati.
How many?
How many?
Santi.
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 Are there.
Are there.
Iha.
Iha.
In this world.
In this world.
Shastra.
Shastra.
Controllers or rulers.
Controllers, rulers.
Jiva Lokasya.
Jiva Lokasya.
Of this material world.
Of this material world.
Why?
Why?
Indeed.
Indeed.
Bravo.
Bravo.
O Master.
O Master.
Dravidyam.
Dravidyam.
Under the three modes.
Under the three modes.
Of material nature.
Of material nature.
Kurvata.
Kurvata.
Performing.
Performing.
Karma.
Karma.
Activity.
Activity.
Phala.
Phala.
Of the results.
Of the results.
Abhivyakti.
Abhivyakti.
Of the manifestation.
Of the manifestation.
Hetava.
Hetava.
Causes.
Causes.
The Yamaduta said, our dear Lord, how many controllers or rulers are there in this material world? How many causes are responsible for manifesting the various results of activities performed under the three modes of material nature, Sattva, Raja, and Tamaguna? Can you repeat? The Yamaduta said,
Yamaduta said,
our dear Lord,
our dear Lord,
how many controllers
how many controllers
or rulers are there in this material world?
in this material world?
How many causes
How many causes
are responsible for manifesting the various results
the various results
of activities
of activities
performed
performed
under the three modes
under the three modes
of material nature?
of material nature?
Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the Yamadutas, the other carriers of Yamaraj, were so disappointed that they asked their master, almost in great anger, whether there were many masters other than him. Furthermore, because the Yamadutas had been defeated and their master could not protect them, they were inclined to say that there was no need to serve such a master. If a servant cannot carry out the orders of his master without being defeated, what is the use of serving such a powerless master? Yamaraj ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
So this seems to be the story of Ajamil. It's a very enlightening story. And here we come to the stage where the Yamadutas have been defeated by the Vishnudutas very easily. As Vishnudutas are on the spiritual platform, while the Yamadutas are assistants of Yamaraj in this world, who simply make sure that the living entities who don't want to leave the material bodies are being bound up by ropes and other instruments and pulled out of this gross material body. And then they bring them to their master Yamaraj, who is the superintendent of dharma, of the laws of religion, and law of karma, and they're being judged there. Of course, Yamaraj also has other assistants, like I think his name is Chitragupta. Chitragupta, he is very knowledgeable. In fact, he is able somehow or other to write down all the activities of living beings. That means quite powerful. So we can imagine how powerful his master Yamaraj must be. You can write down all the activities of living beings at any time in this world. And keep account also, balance, like a good accountant, assistant of a merchant, he keeps the balance, the income and the expenditures, and balance what is left, the scale. So Chitragupta also, he writes down what are the highest activities, sinful activities, and then he looks at the balance, and then he presents it to his master, and he can make final judgment. So then the living entities, of course, they are sometimes brought by the Yamadutas to various planets, so described in the first canto, hellish planets, very often. And there, they are being put in situations where they suffer the results of their sinful activities. And otherwise they are allowed to go to heaven and enjoy the results of their highest activities. But even when they are on the heavenly planets, they are practically condemned to enjoy the results of their good activities in this world. So they are also bound by the results of their so-called good karma. And they are helplessly doomed to enjoy the fruits of their action. There's no other choice for them. They have to stay on heavenly planets and be entangled again in sense gratification. And as we know from the Vedas, so much anxiety even for the inhabitants of heavenly planets. But those who are stupid enough to break the laws of nature, the laws of God, which are described in the Vedas, and act sinfully, for them very hellish conditions are there. And the Yamaduta is very enthusiastic to inflict those hellish conditions on living beings, even though naturally they are reluctant. They will be forced. And so the Yamadutas are quite, as we know, heavy looking personalities. Sometimes we see nowadays in Kali Yuga, of course, many people who start resembling them everywhere. They look like, especially in this Halloween time. I noticed in Sweden it's a big thing now. Before it was not known. So simply for a purpose of commercial purpose, they invent these very strange rituals or ways of having fun. That was not there like 20 years ago. And it expresses the consciousness of people. Started with the heavy metal people, motorbike guys, and others. Some of them started to become a little heavy and wearing metal chains and leather jackets, private motorbikes. But now they resemble more and more actually Yamadutas. They actually want to look very horrible. And even the women, they look very horrible and they think very attractive if you dress like that. Sometimes they look like skulls or other very disgusting things, not very inspiring for the devotee. So here we can understand the Yamadutas have this task, and they have a lot of faith in their master, who's pure devotee, Mahatma, Yamaraj, great devotee. But outside of that, often they don't know much more. And when you have such a heavy task, usually you want your authority to be also very heavy. Just like when Muhammad was preaching in Middle East countries, he had to preach in a kind of heavy way. And he was a Kshatriya also. And he was having wars. And then these Arabs who lived there, I was preaching for some time in Arab countries, as you know also. And we see that many of them are fighters. They lived in very harsh conditions in the desert. And in daytime very, very hot, unimaginably hot. And they travel for thousands of miles like that. And in the desert you don't find many gentlemen and ladies. You find other people who are used to similar harsh conditions. And they form little groups to protect each other, and they have guns, and they immediately when they see, after like 2 weeks in the desert, they see some other group, they don't know what their intention is. So then they form these clans or groups of people. And some of them just make it a profession to rob others. So even nowadays, people are so surprised why in Afghanistan they are so heavy, we cannot civilize them. But for hundreds of years it was known that they just lived from robbing people there, which is a perfect location in these mountains. So the first time we drove to India over there, one devotee had been there before, he was our guide. He said, here's the Khyber Pass, it's in Afghanistan. At that time there was no war and no terror. Still, he said, don't stop, they rob anyone, they can't stop the tourist buses, anything. So that's their profession, desert people. So Muhammad is great devotee of God. Prabhupada said, actually Islam is also type, he said it in one walk. I was surprised he said it's a Vaishnava religion. But presented to a very heavy type people there who are living under very harsh conditions. So to accept them, you cannot be too soft, you cannot be too gentle. They will not really respect you. They will not take you serious. But because Muhammad appeared like a Kshatriya, a very heavy leader, and he had wars, they thought, oh, he's a great Christian, we'll do whatever he says. So when you're dealing with these heavy guys, like motorbike guys, they don't accept anyone who doesn't have big muscles and tattoos and something. And he will tell them, you do this, you do that, you do that. If you don't do it, you get punished like that. And then they think, oh, very nice, I like him. Just like we had this one Arab devotee called Ravanari there in Lebanon. He translated Arabic Bhagavad Gita and was translated in first edition, 5,000 editions a week. And we print another big one, like Bhagavad Gita. And he told us he was like an officer of some terrorist army there before Palestinians. And they trained him very heavily, like he had to, for weeks, just eat frogs or something. Sorry to mention these things, they're very sensitive. Brahmins, he had to survive in some underground tunnels and eat whatever is available. He volunteered to eat a live frog in front of the others to show what a heavy guy he is. And then, by the mercy of Chaitanya, he was saved. And he had to eat sand sometimes to kill the taste buds in the tongue and things like that. Very heavy things. But they were very enthusiastic because they had this big, heavy leader, Arafat, that's his name. We're actually distributing books next to his headquarters. And they arrested us, and then they let us go. They liked our chanting. So they like chanting us sometimes. But you cannot never show any fear, then they don't like you. They have this Sakura, friendship rasa, and they want to have a leader. So Ravanara told the story that once they were attacked by some Israeli airplanes, and they had these anti-aircraft guns, and then 2 of them were destroyed because Israel was very sophisticated army technology, and then again and again they just defeat them. But they still want to fight. So then one day these 2 very new anti-aircraft guns, which were very valuable and hard to get, they were destroyed, and Arafat came there, and he was there. And Arafat started to cry. And then Ravanara told us, at that point he didn't respect him anymore. He didn't like him anymore. He thought very low of him. He was crying, because his anti-aircraft guns were destroyed. So it's a different rasa, different taste, different mood. So here also Yamadutas, they are not really like the most soft fellows because they have a very heavy service to do. So they expect that when their master tells them something, they will not be defeated. It will lead to their prospering and to their success because the master is perfect. That's all they know. They think Yamaraj is the highest authority. They don't know anyone who's as powerful as Yamaraj. Therefore they serve him with so much devotion and enthusiasm. And they see him again and again, he's so fair and just and so knowledgeable and so strong. Once the demon, I think it was Ravana, he challenged Yamaraj. And then Yamaraj came and he has this one weapon, it's called the rod of death. Anyone he touches with it immediately dies. So Ravana was impressed a little bit. But then Yamaraj was told he has got blessings, he cannot kill him, so he withdrew at that time. So Yamaraj is very, very powerful. And the Yamadutas, they wanted to punish Ajamil for his falling down, neglecting his brahminical life, which he learned in his childhood and youth. Later became such a debauchee, we say debauchee, just running after women, and he married a prostitute, and then he committed so many sinful acts, murdering and plundering and stealing by bad association. So then he was really condemned, but as we all know, at the time of his death, somehow he called for his son, whose name was Narayan, and with much intensity, not thinking of any offenses, so he was purified. But the Yamadutas at that time didn't know that then this person is not meant to be punished because he chanted the holy name of God at the time of his death, even unknowingly, but without offense. So therefore the Vishnudutas came to protect him from the Yamadutas. And they had a big argument with the Vishnudutas, and then the Vishnudutas, of course, very easily defeated them, because Krishna has such wonderful associates, such beautiful associates, and they are empowered by Krishna to do anything. So Yamadutas felt very humiliated. What is this? We have this powerful leader who gives us these tasks, and he tells us to punish the sinful one. And now we're defeated. So they are almost rebelling. It's mentioned here in the purport. They started to have doubts about their leaders. They thought we did whatever we could, and now they tell us that there's some higher authority. They tell us there's some, he chanted this name of Narayan, whoever Narayan is, they chanted his name. We thought Yamaraj is the most powerful. But simply by chanting the name of Narayan, he becomes saved from us. So they asked questions. They were very intelligent, and they asked our dear Lord, so how many controllers are there? We thought you were the big one. And we were impressed by this. But now we are defeated. So we are confused. That is a sign of, actually, there's some advancement in pious life, spiritual life, but not complete understanding. Not complete understanding. Because when you have complete understanding, that means you're on the path of pure devotion. Then, when there is defeat, you become even more dedicated. You don't start to get so many doubts, and you don't give up your duty. You become more dedicated. When somebody is less knowledgeable, then he's very enthusiastic as long as all things go very nicely. You've seen that in our movement. Some are very, very good, and then as long as things go nicely. But when the problems come, obstacles come, then you see the actual nature of the person. So at least they are qualified enough to ask questions and not just give up their service, but they are quite confused. And they're almost short of a rebellion, which will not be good for anyone. And then they're asking us, how many causes are there for, what are the actual laws? Now, we thought these are the laws, very simple laws: sinful, punish, pious, go up. Now it seems to be another element there, so what is it? Is there anything else governing, outside of the three modes of nature, anything else governing the activities of living beings? And then of course Yamaraj is describing that actually is resting in the hands of Krishna, and this world manifested as Vishnu, Narayana. Narayana Parobhyakta. In the beginning there were neither Shiva nor Brahma nor all the devas. There was nothing except Narayana, Narayana Parobhyakta. And Krishna says, Aham Sarvasya Pramavo, that everything, all the material spiritual universe, they actually emanating from him through these Purusha avatars, expansions. So he will not explain all these details so much to Brahmaduta, but he will explain the basic principle that there is Krishna and there is Narayana. And everyone who is devotee of Narayana, who wears neck beads, and very small ones, but still neck beads. Some have big neck beads, it's very good. In case the Yamadutas come, he will ask them, whenever you see neck beads on somebody, whenever you see tilak on somebody, whenever somebody with devotion chanting my name or without offenses at least, then immediately you cannot touch them. You have to pay your respect even and just avoid them. Their exception. There are many, many rules, many instructions and orders, but there are some exceptions. Just like in a normal life you have all these cars and the police will not make any exception when somebody speeds too high. But the government people, sometimes they have to speed up. Police and the ambulance, they are exception, They are the protection of government. They are not on their own, but they are on the behalf of the government. Or sometimes you have this diplomatic side, corps diplomatic or some CD, and then they are, It's a different category altogether. Even when you have an embassy somewhere, temple like embassy of the spiritual world, the embassy, when somebody takes refuge there, even police can go there because it's considered another country. It's not part of this country. It's another territory altogether. So here these temples, they are spiritual territory, and devotees are meant to be ambassadors of Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're not going on our own behalf, and we do this, we do that. We should completely act under the guidance of Guru and Krishna and make ourselves dependent on Krishna because he guides everything. And we're in a safe position always. So this is a humble realization, very inspiring verses, very inspiring story. And we'll read more in the next few days about this wonderful conversations, how Maharaj is actually instructing his servants, the Yamadutas, on the special glorious nature of devotional service, and how wonderful it is that the devotees, even somebody be devotee, but just chanting the holy name. How wonderful devotees are, and how wonderful, especially the glories of the holy name. Oh, it's beautiful. And there are many stories where even the great devas got in difficulty, in Puranas, especially Indra, of course, very often has such a big position, so much sense enjoyment, so there will be, wherever there's material sense gratification, there are many problems. That we have to understand, many problems. So then Indra gets in trouble and he doesn't know what to do. He goes to Brihaspati, his spiritual master, and he tells him, I don't know what to do. You're so attached. And then they go to Shiva and Brahma and us, and they all say, there's no way for you to become free from all this entanglement except chanting the holy names of Lord Narayan. So in this one story also, in Brahma Bhagavata Purana, Indra, he starts chanting this 8-syllable mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya. And then he gets by and by free, and then he engages in devotional service, and all his reactions wiped away. Then he gets some relief. Otherwise, without chanting the holy name, how can there be any relief? Any auspiciousness for anybody? That is the one thing that we can get in this world that is of substance. It's the holy name of Krishna. So sometimes they chant also 12-syllable mantras in other yugas, like Dhruva Maharaj was chanting this 12-syllable mantras, anyone know? Yeah, we heard it before. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and the guidance of Sri Narayana. And we are chanting this 16-syllable mantra. Anyone heard it probably? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone of you exalted Vaishnavas? I feel a little embarrassed here because I have a lot of admiration for this temple of devotees here. And I'm asked to speak now. I think I also could learn much from your realization. So whenever you want to maybe make a comment also for my benefit, please respect that. Do you have any question or comment at this point? Yeah, just please, before I have sometimes a little eccentric personality. So when any questions are asked, I forgot to mention them. Usually I ask everyone, before you ask the question, take a deep breath. Because in a relaxed mood we can discuss this much easier for me also. I was doing Hatha Yoga before I became Krishna devotee. And I noticed when we just take one deep breath, that's all. We don't need to do much more. And we cool down a little bit. And then peacefully we think once again about the Krishna. And then we ask in a clear voice that everyone can also share, because I'm sure your question is very relevant for our progress. So please take a deep breath. Deep breath, yeah. Now I'm ready with
What is the result of the Yamaduta's service to Lord Yamaraj?
In which respect?
Spiritually.
Spiritually. You can clarify more precise what you mean by that.
In their next life, will they go to hell? Will they go to heavenly planets? Where will they go?
That's a nice question. Interesting question. So, any proposals maybe that could go?